Thank you all for coming today. Thank you for your interest in our Data for Leaders training course. My name is Sian Basker. I'm co-chief executive of Data Orchard. Data Orchard is a social enterprise that specialises in helping organisations get better with data. This is my colleague Libby, who's on hand to help out if any technical issues, and we'll be keeping an eye on things and dropping useful resources in to the chat while we go. So I'm planning to give an overview of about sort of 15 to 20 minutes so that we've got 10 to 15 minutes at the end to hear your questions. Do feel free to pop them into the Q&A function in Teams, and if you like somebody else's question, please upvote that so that we will take questions. If there are lots and lots of questions, which I really hope there are, then we will work through those in order of popularity. So please do add your questions and check everybody else's questions, and there'll be a bit of time at the end for you to add some more. Let's kick off. I just wanted to talk about, so our Data for Leaders course, we started it in April 2023 with our very first pilot cohort. So we've been running it for 2.5 years. And the reason we designed it is partly because we know that data and, of course, AI is a relatively new and very fast changing field. So it's kind of evolved, I'd say, in its fullness in the last 10 to 15 years. There have been quite revolutionary changes in data and changes in the skills that are needed in every sector. And of course, alongside that has been a real increase in the risks and the responsibilities. The government just shared their most recent cybersecurity survey looking at charities and businesses and how they're doing and the increased threat. And of course, you know, that is quite a major concern for every organisation. I know as a CEO of an organisation, those are the kinds of things that keep you awake at night. And so, you know, there are some real responsibilities around that. The other side of the coin, though, it's not all sticks. There are also some quite enticing carrots, I would say, in terms of the rewards and benefits to be gained in the non-profit sector. And what we hear and see is that many leaders are unconfident in their knowledge and understanding around data, and unconfident in that area of leadership in their organisations. And we also looked around at all of the training that we could see before we started this course, and we didn't find any training out there that was specifically aimed at leaders in our specific sector. So when I say our sector, we, as I said, are a social enterprise. We're part of the charity social enterprise cooperative. Even government you could include in that realm of our purposes about social and environmental good in some form or other. Let's not go into a definitions discussion about our sector, but generally I'm talking about the not-for-profit and for people and for planet sector. Just a little bit of a sort of background to this. I just kind of wanted to say that data has always been seen as a valuable tool for campaigning and driving social change. It's not new in that respect. Leaders have long known about the value of data, and a few pioneers in our sector's long history include Josephine Butler. She was a feminist and a social reformer. She was somebody who campaigned for the abolition of child prostitution and human trafficking of young women and children. She said, enslaved women shall face opponents with facts, statistics and scientific argument, and she used data successfully to fight for social justice, equality, education, rights, changes in the law for women and children. In the middle there we have William Dubois. He was an American sociologist and civil rights activist. He did some incredible, really early data visualizations called Visualizing Black America. He did the first sort of infographics using data to evidence institutional racism and the effects of slavery and progress in education. And then on the right there at the bottom, we have Joseph Rowntree. So he was an English philanthropist, a businessman, a social reformer, and he wanted to improve the quality of life for the people who worked for him in York, and was really committed to understanding the causes of poverty and disadvantage in order to create a better society. And in fact, led one of the first investigations, data collections around poverty. He went on to create the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. And for those of you who know the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, they are still absolutely at the forefront of using data to understand and explore and challenge and address poverty in the UK. So there are some heroes, I would say, of data in our past. So just stepping now into the 21st century, why now? Why do our course now? It feels like it's perennial, this challenging time about resources and funding in our sector. But the need to kind of work, given that resources are scarce, the need to work smarter, to be more efficient with the resources we have. What we see is like almost half of staff time in almost every sector and every organisation we work with and look at is spent working with data. So there's a huge amount of resource already going into data, and a real opportunity to make that work for better rewards. There are also sort of challenges now around the workforce. So different skills are needed in the workforce, both specialist skills in data, the kind of data literacy skills. So we see every job is a data job in almost every part of every organisation. And so that need to upskill a workforce, to recruit, to understand the potential of data and the potential of people in making the most of that data is really crucial. The risks and opportunities have never been greater. As I say, the cyber risks, the risks around AI, the risks around data protection and security are scary, I would say, at the very least. On the other hand, the opportunities, and I would say, again, I've never felt so excited about what's possible. And in any organisation today, regardless of sector, data is a really critical asset and resource to help you survive and to thrive. I'm going to share some of our findings. So we've been measuring how organisations are doing with data for over 5 years now. So this is our data maturity research. One of the questions in our data maturity assessment is, to what extent do people agree that they have people with data analytics expertise within their leadership? And as you can see from this chart, only 8% of organisations are really confident about that, and there are some real challenges, and most people are either neutral or disagree. So that's clearly an issue around leadership skills. We've also got the attitudes towards data in organisations, and again, a very small proportion, 8%, understand how to use data to drive the organisation, drive the questions, influenced by its findings, and plan and prioritise it as a vital resource. Many more are not convinced of its value. Some are active but not fully confident around it. And when we talk to organisations, talk about skills and capabilities in organisations, certainly in our sector, this is based on 630 organisations who have completed our assessment over the last 5 years. You can see there are some real challenges around skills and capabilities in our sector. So we're on this kind of exciting, slightly terrifying ride around data. And certainly that sort of change is dealing with that change, and that speed of that change can be really challenging. It's an era in which there's a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of complexity, and a lot of ambiguity. And sometimes, although in many instances we might not have control over those, we can choose to do what we can do within our own individual organisations and lead through our partnerships, through our relationships, through our leadership, in order to design impactful services and deliver change that we want to make the world a better place. So I'm just going to chop through a few of those opportunities that we see around data: being better informed, more responsive, better prepared, more efficient, greater impact. I'm not going to go into all of those in detail, but these are certainly some of the benefits and rewards that we see from organisations. And just on that final point, the greater impact, understanding and evidencing the difference that your organisation makes, and being open to self-questioning and adaptive in how you spend your resources are all part of that data leadership journey and fulfillment. Meanwhile, on the responsibility side, things have really changed. The protection and security, if nothing else, that is the number one challenge for organisations. We, as a sector, we support some of the most vulnerable and disadvantaged people, and so with our own vulnerability to data breaches and phishing attacks and malicious attacks, the importance for our teams, our staff, our volunteers, our boards to be aware of those risks and to manage those risks and take responsibility for protecting those people is absolutely crucial. Transparency, there's a real expectation to be open and honest in our sector, and culturally I'd say it's a real strong point, but it is a really important thing around your data to be transparent about how you're collecting it and the purposes of which you're using it, and transparent about and open in how it both internally and externally, that you're transparent about what the data is telling you as well. Accountable. I would say in the past there used to be a firm direction to be accountable to funders and to regulators and commissioners, and certainly lots of the data effort and reporting goes into those. But I think it's also important to be accountable to other stakeholders, to your beneficiaries, to your service users, to your clients, to your donors. Ethics, of course, come into this as well. Ethics is not just about AI, but the whole piece across data entirely. And then finally, workforce. So many leaders are responsible for the workforce. So there's data, and because, as I say, data is everybody's job, some real opportunities there around building the workforce, building the culture, building the data literacy, and building the skills to get the most value out of data. So, why do the Data for Leaders course? We have, as you would expect, as an organisation that is focused on impact and focused on data, we do a huge amount of evaluation and squeeze people for every bit of feedback. So in the 2.5 years since we've been running the course, we've been collecting a lot of data after the course and doing follow-up. We've got great feedback. Previous participants tell us that they rate it good or excellent. The resources and support are hugely popular, and most excitingly, in our long-term impact, 100% have gone on to successfully implement change in their organisations. Some of the reasons why I would say do the course is because it has been specifically developed for the non-profit sector. So the content and the examples are all very relevant. It is the very latest content. I keep thinking it might be something that we can just pull out and deliver again and again, but because it's such a fast changing field, we're relentless in updating the materials to make sure they're absolutely the most recent and current and best resources that we can share. It is interactive, fun, very well tried and tested, and as I say, it delivers results. At the risk of exploding onto your screen a huge chart, as you can expect, we're a data specialist organisation, so we've got a keen eye for measuring our impact, and so this is some of the data that we've captured around what people have gained from the course. Obviously, that's a massive massive chart, and so you might be more interested in a more beautiful presentation of this. Our key areas of change are to include connecting people, motivating people, inspiring people. Connection is for us a really important value for the course that we don't bring ourselves, but that you bring as participants. So the relationships that build between the people on the course has also provided real value. Some of these outcomes that we've been able to evidence include making better investment decisions around data, confidence to lead, better conversations about data in the organisations, improved understanding around roles and expertise, understanding the gaps in skills, understanding where the organisation currently is with data, and being able to identify plans and priorities for going forward. So the course covers 7 themes. Our data maturity framework has 7 themes. Our first session, these are 2 hours each, and we absolutely understand that people's time needs to be protected. So we do a big overview to begin with. The second section is all about purposes for which you're using it, purposes for which you're analysing it. The third one is the techiest session, but please don't be afraid, it's absolutely fine. But we cover the practicalities in that session. So practicalities around data, practicalities around tools. Then we start to move on to people. So session 4 is all about skills and leadership. And then the final session is around culture and change. And we take you through that whole journey and connect the beginning and the end of the course around that big picture and what your next steps might be as a leader. Very quickly, last bit on Data Orchard. We're experts in our field. We've got a deep understanding of the sector. We've worked with hundreds of charities. We have a tremendous team of skilled and knowledgeable trainers who deliver our course, sometimes myself, sometimes Libby as well here. And we're totally focused on our own impact. And our impact is all about building the data skills and capabilities of other leaders and other organisations in our sector. Most of what we do as a whole organisation is about building data skills and capabilities, and we do our promotional championing work, and we do more of the data for type services for the sector. We've got a really broad range of clients that we've worked with over the years. And why spend the money? Because you're worth it. It's an investment in you and your skills. You'll leave feeling confident, you'll leave feeling inspired, and we've had absolute 100% feedback that it is incredibly good value for money. So just to finally wrap on pricing, the open course is $499 plus VAT. We work with really small cohorts, usually 6 to 12 people, so there's an intimacy around the course as well. There's also an option for an in-house course, which is $3,500 plus VAT for whole senior teams. And we're also now doing some network courses where we're working with networks of organisations who are commissioning us to deliver courses to lots of different organisations working in a common membership or sector. So next courses start September 10th or 22nd of April next year. Libby will drop the link to that in, and we've had some tremendous feedback from some of our clients who have been on this course, and we have also got a blog written up around the long-term feedback. So I feel like I've rushed a little bit there, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of gave you as much information as possible and gave you the opportunity to have a think and ask me some questions.